Battlefield medicine. Evolution of battlefield medicine from 1800 to 1860. Some common types of war injuries are gunshot injuries, broken bones or fractures, head injuries, limb loss, second/third degree burns, brain injuries, nerve injuries, loss of sight, loss of hearing, PTSD, shell shock, and hallucinations. The Revolutionary War, 1776 through 1783. Most soldiers had a much higher chance of living on the battlefield than getting treatment for a wound or illness. Over 17,000 soldiers died alone from illness. Each regiment only had one surgeon on duty, and they generally had little experience in treating war patients. If a surgeon could not treat a soldier, they would be sent to the nearest hospital, which was usually nearby houses, barns, churches, or other public buildings. These conditions were also cramped and unsanitized, resulting in rapid speed of contagious illnesses and infections. Medicines used during the Revolutionary War. Supplies during the Revolutionary War were incredibly sparse. This was mostly due because of a large portion of medicine was usually brought in from England by ship, but since the Americans were fighting the English, the source was eliminated. If a doctor was able to get some medicine, the options were limited. Some medicines that were used are opiates, painkillers, mercury compounds, lavender spirits, and cream of tartar. Surgery. If a soldier was shot by a musket ball, which had a diameter of 3/4 of an inch, the damage was tragic. There was still no anesthesia at this time, so the soldier had to bear the pain of surgery while being conscious. The soldier would be strapped down to a table, given a towel to bite down on, and pray that they would survive. Amputations were the only option if a musket ball struck a bone. The Civil War, 1861 through 1865. Of the 620,000 deaths resulted from this war, 2/3 of the deaths were from disease. Combating disease as well as treating the legions of soldiers pushed Americans to reconsider their health methods and develop efficient and ethical practices to care for the sick and wounded. At the start of the Civil War, knowledge along with medical equipment was still hardly up to the challenges posed by infections, wounds, and disease. Common illnesses/diseases that plagued both sides were syphilis, thyroid fever, pneumonia, mumps, measles, and tuberculosis. Some key medical figures are Jonathan Letterman. He was a medical director who brought order and efficiency into the medical service. He created a regulated ambulance system and evacuation plan for the wounded. Another one is William A. Hammond. He was a surgeon general of the Union Army. He standardized, organized, and designed new hospital layouts and inspection systems for the Army. He even wrote a whole book on hygiene for them to use. Medicine/equipment used during the Civil War. Medicine was still in a state of being underdeveloped compared to the wounds and diseases the soldiers faced. Chloroform was an anesthetic used by surgeons to make the soldiers unconscious during surgery. This helped, of course, with the patient's pain, along with allowing the surgery to go smoother. The most well-known piece of medical equipment created during this time was the bone saw. This was used for all amputations that were performed. And those are all my sources, and yes, that is all.